Well, now, the announcement of the first suspected case of mad cow disease in Japan has made international headlines around the world and has resulted in you having a very busy day today.
Yes, especially today I'm so busy.
Well, I'd like to impose on you a little bit further and ask you if you could tell us a little bit about the background to this announcement and exactly what it means for the public.
Yes. I think in August we have some kind of suspected case of animals in Chiba prefectures. Then that animal showed clinical syndrome showing such kind of paralysis. And also, that car cannot stand up or some kind of things. Then, local veterinary officer made autopsies. And then they looked at some histopathology. Then they find that something strange histological region in the medulla area. So they sent whole their samples and also pathological pictures to the National Institute of Animal Health. Then National Institute of Animal Health people, they did their own test using prionics check. I think they did the prionics check in late in August. In the first check, that result was negative. But after that, pathology people made their own sections. Then they stained their medullary organ as well as whole brain. Then they find that some bacteriolated or characteristic spongiform lesion in the medullary area. So then after that, and so some pathology people in that National Institute of Animal Health, they spent in cytochemistry. That technique is made to pick up abnormal form of prion protein in the spongiform area. Then they find that positive staining in that area. So at this time, so they decide to open this result to the public. So then we are so busy at this moment.
Well, now, how long will it be before this goes from being a suspected case to being actually confirmed as an actual case?
One of the biggest problems is that we had 3 different tests. Original first test, prionics check, was negative. Then second pathology was positive. Third immunocytochemistry or immunohistochemistry was positive. So we have a lot of discussion. Then I think we decided to send this kind of result as well as samples to the United Kingdom Central Veterinary Laboratory. Then they'll check our result, and then they will make their own pathology sections. It takes for a while. Maybe usually when this kind of things are done in the European country, last time I think some country in Czechoslovakia, did the same thing. In this case, they had the result in 3 days. But this time, I think it takes a little bit more, I think.
Well, now, you mentioned that the animal was discovered in Chiba Prefecture, which is outside of Tokyo.
Yes.
Could you tell us a little bit more about the specifics of this animal, where it was raised?
I think they still have some kind of collection of their own information. So they still have some kind of, I think that is anyway, 5 years old cow, it's a dairy cow. So I think that cow is making a milk always. And I think that is a domestic cow. So I think they are still checking where it is born and which kind of animal feeding they feed them. But still we don't have a solid answer yet.
Now, exactly how or is the route of infection in this case also suspected, George? Do you have a pretty good idea, if this is an actual case of mad cow disease, how the animal got infected?
Usually mad cow disease is just like the same thing in the European mad cow disease. So it's I think this kind of mad cow disease is fed by meat and bone meal. I think until 5 years ago, Japanese country also importing meat and bone meal from United Kingdom. So we suspect maybe some kind of meat and bone meal is imported to Japan and distributed to Japanese farmers. And then maybe that is fed to such particular animals. Yeah.
Now, when we're talking about this, the disease that it causes in humans is fatal, and it's a very scary disease.
Yes.
And so people automatically become worried when they hear about this. But what is the actual threat to the public health that you see at the present? Is there any threat to the public health in Japan?
I think at this time there is no big problem at this moment. Because I think in Japan, I think usually people are eating just regular meat. And also the people are just drinking some milk. And so if we eat regular meat and milk, there is no problem at all. But I think if people are going to a European country, maybe or some other country, some BSE, this country, so maybe they must be a little bit more careful.
So I think you said that this was a dairy cow and that you don't get it from milk. So even if we sat down and drank a cup of milk from the cow that's infected itself, there would be no problem.
I don't think there is any problem at all. I think no problem.
Mm-hmm. Now, what steps do you think the Japanese government, or what steps is the Japanese government taking at the present, and what will they need to do in the future?
At this time, I think we are still waiting the result from United Kingdom. But meanwhile, we have to do something. So at this time, I think that particular farmer, they have about 50 other cows. So we are, I think, isolating that cow and then keep watching what's happening in that cow, just watching. But meanwhile, if they have some more positive result comes from United Kingdom, then I think we must check those another cows more carefully by pathologically or other testing. Yeah.
Now, you said before that probably the route of infection was through imports from the United Kingdom or from EU. Could you give us an idea about the time frame that we're talking about, from the time that the imports that might have been suspected actually came into Japan, the incubation period that it takes for the cows, and any potential incubation period in humans?
Usually, I think in cows, incubation period is between 2 to 8 years. So at this time, I think this particular cow is 5 years old. So I think this, if this cow is infected by such a meat and bone meal, I think that is, this kind of cow is, infected 5 years old. So I think 5 years is quite a good year. So I think we still need to wait, because I think incubation period is usually 2 to 8 years. So we need to wait another 2 or 3 years if another cow comes out as a mad cow disease or not. And also in the human case, incubation period is not so clear. So I think some people said incubation period is 5 years. Some people said incubation period is 25 years. So still we have first case of, I think, new type of CJD is 5 years ago. So we are still watching the result of, especially the case in the United Kingdom.
So we're really in uncharted territory at the moment, then.
So I think we need to wait another 10 or 20 years to know the whole story.
Now, you described the process through which this cow was discovered, and it's been over a couple months that people have been testing it, and it's still not confirmed. But is this actually the first animal that's been a suspected case, or have there been others that have been totally dismissed once tests were conducted?
Yeah, this is a pathological. This is a first suspected case. So when I was working in the National Institute of Animal Health 10 years ago, I was in charge of to checking such kind of things. At that time, of course, it's every year we have 1 or 2 cases of such kind of spongiform lesion. But pathological picture is quite different from today's case. So I think this is very close to such kind of mad cow disease by histopathology.
Now, if there's other cows that are found like this, or should the Japanese government now be more aggressive about testing animals? And is it economically and physically possible to really rule out the disease in animals? Can you tell us a little bit about the concerns in terms of testing other animals for this disease?
Yeah, testing other animals. It's, at this time, you are testing more carefully about such kind of the cow in the same animal farm. But I think still, I think last month, Japanese Ministry of Public Health decided to check the animals slaughtered in slaughterhouse, so abattoir. So at that time, they decided to check 10,000 cases per year. But I think at this time, Ministry of Public Health is thinking about to increase that number a little bit more. Yeah. So I think they are still discussing about checking the cow in the abattoir.
Now, since we're talking about something that really isn't an infectious disease, if the proper measures are taken in the future, will it be possible to totally eliminate the threat of mad cow disease in Japan?
I think so. Yeah, because this time this is only one case here, and also I think here this is a 5-year-old mouse, cow, and so I think this time Japan imported only a smaller amount of meat and bone meal from United Kingdom. So actually, amount we imported material is very small compared to the European country. So I think this time, mad cow case is, if this is a first case of mad cow disease, I think there is very slim possibility we could have another case of mad cow disease in Japan.
Well, I'd like to thank you for taking time out of what I know has been a very busy day for you to talk with us about this. Thank you.
You are welcome. Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye.
That was Professor Takashi Onodera of the University of Tokyo, interviewed by Radio Japan reporter